Interesting report today that government officials are actually considering whether to allow family visits at the prison camp at Guantanamo Bay in Cuba. Defense Department policy currently bans these visits, but reports indicate that officials do allow inmates to write letters, to call home occasionally, maybe once a year, and to even video chat with family members. And now, according to a report out of the Washington Post, the International Red Cross is pushing for Gitmo visitation program. It's not clear exactly how it would work, but some in Congress are expressing concern already. The head of the House Armed Services Committee, Republican Howard McEwen of California, says that it's a huge security risk. Joining us now, Judge Andrew Napolitano, Fox News senior judicial analyst, host of Freedom Watch on Fox Business. Always good to talk to you.
Likewise.
Critics of Gitmo, and I know that you happen to be one of them, have said that the very existence of this prison and the way that these detainees are being held there without charge, that alone is unconstitutional. So preventing them from being able to visit with family members, that shouldn't really come as much of a surprise.
Well, it does come out of left field that the government is even considering doing this. There is no precedent whatsoever for allowing war criminals to be visited by their family. So if these guys are ordinary criminals, like in federal prisons here in the mainland, then they would be entitled to family visits. If they're prisoners of war, because they're sworn enemies of the United States who would go back to the battlefield the minute they were released, then it would be unprecedented to give them family visits. My own view about Gitmo has nothing to do with the physical plant, which, as you know, I've visited.
Yes.
In my prior life, I've visited many jails, and I can tell you this one compares extremely favorably to jails in the United States. The physical plant is superb. The issue is, do we want to incarcerate people and tell them, even after they're found not guilty, we're going to keep them in jail for the rest of their lives?
I called our crack staff at the Pentagon looking for a little bit of guidance on this story in preparation for our conversation, and they said that the biggest thing that they hear at the Pentagon is that the logistics of this alone would be so complicated, ferrying family members to and from this facility, the cost of it, just flying people in and out of there.
Yes,
I mean,
even when you fly there, as I did from Washington, D.C., you still have to get on a ferry ride, which is about an hour and a half on the water. Just proving who's a family member, who's related to whom, will create logistical problems for the military, and that means a great deal of expense for the military, and that means unnecessary security risks.
The fact that this is even being discussed, and obviously it's being floated out there because the Washington Post had it today, what should this tell us about the administration's long-delayed plans to close Gitmo?
I think the president really wants to close Gitmo. George W. Bush wanted to close Gitmo, but once you get something like this started, and once you sort of establish it, and once you have judges and prosecutors and defense lawyers there, it's tough to undo it. The Congress has actually enacted legislation saying you can't use any money to move them. Right. So if he's going to close Gitmo and move them to some jail in Chicago, he's going to have to find money from some other budget.
And we should mention the worst of the worst, the Khalid Sheikh Mohammeds of the world, would not be eligible, even under this proposed idea of visitations. He would not be one of those prisoners.
I don't think the Red Cross would seriously consider asking Khalid Sheikh Mohammed's family to come and visit him. If they did, they probably wouldn't be allowed to leave.
Judge Andrew Napolitano, always interesting to get your insight on this. You can catch the judge weekdays on Freedom Watch, 8 p.m. Eastern, only on the Fox Business Network, giving you the power to prosper. And, gentlemen, if you don't get it, I've never done that before. All the years I've never had the chance to do that. Thank you very much.
You did it very well, Mr.
Thank you very much. All right, good to see you, Judge.